episode is all about nurturing your customers. And this is part one of a 3-part series, all about customers and nurturing the customers that we have, and also bringing new customers in order to nurture as part of our ecosystem as well. For so many of us, we work so hard. We focus so much on getting customers, new customers in the door and bringing new customers in. And once they're in, that's kind of it. We just work on getting more people in the door. I talk a lot, and I was talking in the middle of this year. Thanks, Benny. That's my beautiful dog, Benny. Sorry about that. I talk a lot, and I was talking this year in New York about, doing a keynote presentation where I was speaking about the importance of nurturing our customers. And I got people to raise their hands in the audience and talk about who would want more customers, who wants more customers. And, every hand in the room goes up. It always, every hand goes up, because people think that the key to a successful business is getting more customers. I like to flip that a little bit. I think the key to a successful business is nurturing the customers that you have and giving them a really exceptional experience as part of your offering. And so if that is you, if you are somebody who is thinking more customers, more people in the door, more customers, more money into Facebook ads, more, brand new website, all of the things, I really encourage you to think a little bit, to flip that thought a little bit, and to think today and for the next 3 episodes about how you can nurture the customers that you have. Now, we've talked about this before, but mapping out the customer journey as part of your teamwork or your team building that you do with the people in your organization is incredibly important. Firstly, it gives you a really good understanding of where your customers are, how they come to you, how they find you, and then how they stick around and what you're doing in order to make sure that they are going to stick around. So I encourage you, if you haven't mapped out your customer journey, to grab a blank piece of paper and draw a horizontal line. And I want you to start on one end, on the left-hand side, by writing all of the ways in which your customers can find you. Perhaps that is that you do ads in the local paper. Perhaps you do a newsletter email. Perhaps you do a mailbox drop. What are the things that you do in order to tell people that you exist, that your business is out there, that it's happening, that it's thriving, and that people should get involved? And then I want you to think about, okay, once they come into the business, once they've, hit purchase on our website, or they've come to our shop and bought something, what happens next? Because this is where the absolute gold is. This is where the fortune is. The fortune is in the follow-up that happens in these moments. So do you have systems and processes in place in order to capture really important information from customers? And, I said before, I was in New York a couple of months ago, and they're really good at this. Every shop you go into, you cannot get out of without giving them your email address, no matter how much you don't want to. And, it was really annoying at first, but then I just got used to it. Everybody is doing it over there. And I'm not saying that you want to be the annoying business, but I tell you what, those experiences that I had in those stores, that I don't get at home, if I'm on their email list, which I am now for so many of them, when they're getting into, I'm opening those emails. I love that skirt that I bought. So I'm looking at what other skirts they have and becoming somebody who is loyal to that brand. So there is something to be said for the follow-up that happens in those moments after somebody has purchased from you. If they are coming into your bricks and mortar business, do you have a system in place to ensure that you capture their details, or do they just give you cash and walk out and that's it? Please don't tell me that's how it's happening in your business. And if it is, then make some changes and put some processes in place to make sure that it doesn't continue. And then, of course, once you've got their details, what are you doing? What happens now? How are we nurturing the people that we have? Are we getting in touch with them regularly? Are we reminding them that we're still there? And, people say that they don't want to be emailing their customers because they don't want to be annoying. They don't want to be that business that's annoying. But I can tell you, if people don't want to be getting information from you, they will unsubscribe. People know how to hit the unsubscribe button, and you should not be afraid of people unsubscribing. I have so many clients that say, oh, I don't want people to unsubscribe because, I take it personally and I think that they don't want to be contacted by me. Don't take it personally. Yes, they don't want to be contacted by you, and you don't want them on your email list. You don't want them blocking up that time and being in, within your zone and within your world. Get rid of them. If they don't want to be there, then good riddance, I say. Good riddance to bad rubbish. So if you are worried about people unsubscribing, I encourage you to flip that mindset completely. You should want people to unsubscribe. You should only want people on your email list that actually want to be part of your brand and want to be part of your community. And then I want you to think about how you're nurturing those people that are there. Is it that you have a monthly, weekly, yearly, for some people, newsletter that you are, telling people about what's going on? And, we use the 80-20 rule when it comes to 80% of sharing and 20% of selling. You don't want to send out a newsletter that's just an ad for, every second thing you have to sell. You want to be sharing information that could be helpful to people. If you have a retail store, I'll use the example of the skirt because I talked about it before. But perhaps if I bought a skirt from you and you then email me a month later and say, skirts, the fashion at the moment is that skirts are being worn with belts, or that skirts are being worn with boots. And here's some examples of how you can style that. Hello, I'm absolutely engaged in that brand. I'm absolutely going to, continue to be engaged with that brand because you're sharing something that is helpful for me. And if down the bottom of the email, you then have, 20% off skirts in other colors, similar to the one that I bought, I'm probably going to purchase from you again. So it's about really finding ways in which to share the things that your business does and what you're doing in your business, and share information and insight and wisdom and expert knowledge that you have from your industry. It's about sharing that knowledge with your customer base and giving them, interesting information to then be able to use in their own lives. And then, of course, also asking for a sale as part of that. But use the 80-20 rule. You want to be doing 80% sharing and only 20% selling. But a newsletter is a great way to just keep in touch with people, to not be like banging down their doors, but to just be like, hey, don't forget, I'm still existing. I'm over here. And so many businesses just don't do it. They just think that sounds like a lot of effort. It is a lot of effort, but things that are worth doing well. That's what my dad always says. So you want to really make sure that you are finding ways to nurture those customers, especially if you already have those details. Perhaps you want to reward your customers during this part of their journey. Perhaps they've bought from you once before, and perhaps you want to then be able to reward them for being a customer that has purchased before, in order to get them over the line to be a customer that, signs up for a membership, signs up for something more long-term, makes a bigger purchase in terms of either it can be bigger in terms of commitment, or it can be bigger in terms of financial commitment. Completely, that's going to be up to you and your business. But you want to be able to find ways to be able to reward the people that are there and that are engaging. And especially if you're asking questions in your email correspondence with them and they're engaging with you, they're replying, then yes, they're your people. They're the people that you want to continually reward and engage, because they're the people that will keep coming back to you. So maybe you've got an email sequence that's set up that runs like 3 or 4 weeks after they've purchased from you, that reminds them that you exist, that perhaps gives them a voucher or a coupon or a code or something to use in the future as a reward for being a loyal customer who's already purchased. Here is something special for you. Or perhaps they have an early access to a sale that you're having. Perhaps they get an early access to a new product that's coming out. You want to be able to reward and nurture the people that have purchased from you, so that they feel special. They feel part of the vibe. They feel part of the community, and they want to continue to engage with you. And then you want to actually really understand what happens at the end of the customer journey. So thinking about the horizontal line that you drew across your page before, on the left-hand side was how they very first find you, then, moving through the line to when they actually purchase from you. And, perhaps they make further purchases. Perhaps they don't go on to make any other purchases because the thing that you're selling is very specific to a time and place. And, that happens as well. Perhaps you've got a really finite time that somebody can be your customer, or perhaps there are ways for you to be able to extend that. I always use the example of the gorgeous Jade from Little Glimpses Photography, and she does primarily wedding photography. And she has said to me in the past, I'm hoping that this is the wedding of their dreams and that this is the person that they're going to be with forever. And I take their photo and that's that. I don't get to take their second wedding photo because the first marriage works out. But, it's so, the thing is, you could either leave that there and could be like, I'm just a wedding photographer and I just do weddings. And once I've done your wedding, you're done. Or you could think about, okay, these people, yes, I had their wedding photos, but do I want to follow up with them in terms of, when they have their first child, or they want to have family photos, or they want to have extended family photos? Perhaps they've got a person in their family who's unwell. How can I serve them with a different product that's still in my wheelhouse, but for that same customer? So you want to think about what happens at the end of that horizontal line. What happens? Is there an actual endpoint where, they've bought everything they can buy from you and that's the end? Or is there something that, there's a natural progression that happens there? And I encourage you to think about what that is for your business. When it comes to nurturing your customers, you might be listening to this podcast and you might be the leader of your team, or you might be a member of a team. The part that some people leave out that can be really powerful is the communication part. So not only is it important for you to know this information and for you to think of ways in which to improve your customer journey, but you now need to be able to go and pass that on to the people who are actually going to action it. So perhaps there is somebody else that's in charge of your email marketing. Perhaps there's somebody else that's in charge of your social media. Perhaps there's somebody else that's at the front door that's, that is the meet and greet person that meets, people as part of that customer journey. All of this knowledge and the importance of this nurturing needs to be communicated with them. So I encourage you to choose one step in your customer journey this week that you're going to improve. Find a way to make it better. You can either do that by reaching out to somebody in your team and reminding them of why that part of the journey is really important, and set the expectation for what you want that experience to be. Or perhaps it's something that you need to talk to your entire team about. Perhaps it's something that you're going to rehaul altogether. I would love to know what is working for you. This is part 1 of a 3-part series on nurturing your customers, and mapping the customer journey is a really important part of that. So I encourage you to give it a try. I would love it if you take a photo when you are drawing your horizontal line and stick it on your Insta story and tag me. I'm at Simply Stacey Morgan. If you want to sit down with me and we can map out your customer journey together, we can do that as part of Simply You and I. You can find out more information at simplystaceymorgan.com. I'll be back next week for part 2 of Nurturing Your Customers, our 3-part series. Have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon.